Hello everyone, Wemi here. I have been gone for a minute, and it's because I needed to mentally recuperate from the disaster that our world is. And for that reason, I couldn't film. I just wasn't in the right state of mind to film, to be jovial, and I just didn't feel right. So I didn't. So before we begin this, I wanted to just take a quick moment to address, the elephant in the room. It's not an elephant in my room because it's a reality. Black Lives Matter. There is that. Let's truly acknowledge what is happening. Let's acknowledge the need for justice, the need for equality, the need for love, the need for understanding, the need for empathy, the need for what humanity truly means. I think it's important for us to activate those, to have empathy for each other, to love each other, to truly understand what it means to respect a human life, to love a human life, to stand up for what is right, to stand up for justice, and to not just sit by passively while these things happen. I did a podcast. It was a very long podcast where I was asked to talk about these things for a while with someone, and I did, and I spoke a lot. And if you guys would love to watch that and listen to what I had to say, the link will be in the description box below. Check out my thoughts on that, and if you enjoy listening to it, come back and let me know how you feel. And I hope it inspires you to be a better person, to take responsibility for yourself and those around you who might not be doing the right things, and to truly be the best person that you can be in all that you do. So without further ado, let's get into the video. We are talking about something a little different today that I can probably tell based on what's going on around me here. We are in our homeschool area, is what we'll call it. It's not a room because we've just taken up literally a corner of our family room. So it's just our homeschool corner, I guess. So before I get started, I just want to give a huge shout out to Tori Olsby. She inspired me to come on here and talk to you guys about our homeschool without holding back. So for those of you who are not familiar with it, I homeschool a 4-year-old, my son Alio, and we are going into our 2nd year now of homeschooling. I say that loosely because we did our first year as a trial run to decide if homeschool was going to work for us as a family, and most importantly work for him, and it has been a success. So right now I have all of our books here, and I'm going to share with you guys what books we will be using in our 1st/2nd year of homeschooling. We are going to be mainly going into grade 1-ish stuff, and we're going to use the grades very loosely because I find as a homeschooler you're not really on the same trajectory as public school. Therefore, to just say, oh, we're doing grade 1, it's like you might do grade 1 in one subject, you might do grade 2 in another subject. So because of that, I use that term very loosely as to grade 1. We've been very, very blessed in that my son has been very educationally inclined. He's been very excited about learning. He loves it. He thrives off it. So we have just taken that and ran with it. And because of that, he is 4. He turned 4 in March of 2020. And because of that, now we're able to advance into grade 1 work for him. So starting off with our core subjects, we start off with math. We are using Singapore math this year. The reason we're using this is because we used Singapore math for our kindergarten year, and he loved it. He loved the book. He thrived off it. He did extremely well with that book, and I figured, you know what, if it's working, don't fix what ain't broken. So because of that, I decided to just stick with Singapore math for the most part, and I went ahead and purchased the Primary Mathematic Standard Edition 1A. We just finished today our subtraction unit, and so the next unit for us is position. So we are heading to the position unit. We'll be starting that tomorrow. So the textbook is really great in that the textbook is for you to teach with. It's to allow them to have a lot of examples to practice and a lot more visual aid in here versus the workbook. The workbook is very black and white. It's non-distracting, which is what I love about this Singapore math is in the workbook, there's no color. Apparently the reason that's made that way is because in Singapore, the way they use the books is that essentially when a student finishes a page, they're allowed to then color that page, and that brings a little bit of fun into their math time. So I kind of let my son do the same thing, except he's very, very structured, and that is not from me, that is from him. He is very structured in his life, so he will not color in his math book because math is not for coloring, Mom. So he doesn't color his, he colors in his language arts or coloring books. But that's, I just lost our bookmark, but that's generally the idea behind the Singapore math book. We love it. I love that it is a little bit advanced, but it works for him. So here's the workbook that we've been using. I'm going to just take the bookmark off so you guys can see what it's looked like so far. So there's sort of our next unit. This is just some of the work he's done. You guys see, he only colored the lessons that had the instructions instruct you to color. Other than that, he did not color any other pages. That's just him, and I am okay with that's what he wants. That's not the important part. So yeah, that is the Singapore math workbook. As I said, we are also using Math Mammoth. Here's Math Mammoth. Math Mammoth is a lady, I believe Maria Miller is her name, that made the curriculum, and it is a fantastic curriculum. It's very, very gentle in its approach. Very, very gentle, and a lot of repetition, which my son also enjoys. He enjoys it to a certain extent because a lot of times he's like, oh, why are we still doing this? And usually for him, I find he gets to that point right at the last sort of set of questions around a certain topic. That's usually when he's like, oh, can we do something else? So I'll just show you guys an example here. So here's his work. So it's very similar to Singapore math in that it's very plain, basic line art, line work, without a lot of distraction, but it's color. That's really the main difference I find with the two. I do enjoy that it gives a lot of different ways of reinforcing the same lesson. For example, so learning sums with 7. We have page 43, page 44, page 45, 3 pages on sums with 7. And the goal of that, and it goes through all the, you know, basic numbers. I believe we go sums to 10, and then I'm sure the second book will probably go up to 20. But it does sums to 10, and it focuses on helping the child essentially trying to memorize, and I guess memorize might not be the right word, but master your addition facts so that it's an easy recall without having to count all these addition facts. 4 plus 2. You work on that for 3 to 4 pages, you know what 4 plus 2 is, right? So that's kind of the idea that I find behind the Math Mammoth that I really, really, really enjoy. That's a big difference between Math Mammoth and Singapore math. So I'm looking at the textbook right now. From page 16 to 68, it's all addition. And then we go into subtraction. That's a lot of pages on just addition. So I think it's great if you have a child that's maybe struggling in a certain area. I think Math Mammoth is fantastic for that because you spend a lot of time on each aspect of math. Versus in Singapore math, I believe we only did addition for 25 to 41. That's all we did for addition. So you guys kind of get the idea there in that it's a lot. They don't spend as much time on your math skills, whereas here you get a lot of practice and a lot of just take it and go with it, take it and run with it. You don't need a lot of parent involvement, I find, with Math Mammoth, because the instructions are generally fairly simple and you just do it, right? There's not a lot of explanation required. It's very easy. It's very easy language as well for children, I believe, to be able to understand and comprehend what the book or the text is asking them to do. That's our second math book. Math Mammoth there's 2. There's grade 1A and there's grade 1B. I'm in the process of changing all of our work. I initially had all of our printed stuff in binders, and then I finally made the leap about a week ago and said, you know what, forget it. I am going to be coil binding this because binders take up so much space. They're so heavy, they're so clunky. And I wanted to coil bind at first, but I was not confident in my decision. I'm like, it's a huge investment to buy this machine. What if we don't end up buying a lot of printables? What if this, what if that? Also, that was at the start of the quarantine. So I thought, well, if the quarantine ends soon, we can cross the border again, and then I can get our textbooks from across the border. But y'all, it's been like 5 months of quarantine. I said, forget it. I'm buying this machine and I'm gonna coil bind. I'm gonna commit to PDF versions because I found for the most part, a lot of textbooks are cheaper if you PDF it and print. I run a business that does involve printing, so I already pay for printing services and ink and all of that. I already have the printers. So I said, forget it, I'm just gonna buy that. So anyways, that's why we have this coiled, and then some books are going to be in binders because I'm still waiting on some of my larger coils to come in so I can coil my bigger textbooks. But anyways, that covers our math. Let's move on to language arts. Language arts, we are starting off on the free stuff because, hey, why not? If it's free, why not try it out? I decided, and I made a mistake here, and this is an example of just adapting to what your child's level is. We are using the good and the beautiful for our language arts. I initially downloaded and printed the entire level 1, and then I looked through it and said, he doesn't need this, he's totally past level 1. So that was awkward because it's like 300 pages. So that's sitting in my closet. Hopefully another kid will use it one day. But for now, we are in level 2 of language arts, and we are using the good and the beautiful for it. The good and the beautiful, I find, is very parent involved. But he's enjoying it so far. I've heard a lot of pros and cons about good and beautiful. People have their religious issues with it. People have their teacher issues with it. For us, it works. I'm not concerned about the what's the religion, the Mormon religion, being taught to my child because I'm with him. So I'm not really concerned about that. What I care about is that you love God, you know God, and we're about God in our family. So that's really what I care about. And in that, I just kind of teach him accordingly. Levels 1 till 8, I think, is free to download and print on the Good and Beautiful website. So that's what I chose to do for level 2. I hope to use it for level 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because if I can save some money, why not? So we'll see if he continues to enjoy it, but so far he does enjoy it. He loves language arts, he loves reading, he loves writing, and I'm so happy about that because I am a reader and I am a writer. So I'm so happy that he has picked up on that. Yeah, and I'm hoping he develops not just a love for writing, but a gift for writing. That takes care of our math and language arts textbooks. We have some supplementary stuff that I'm going to do probably a separate video on because this video is already long enough as it is. So I'll do a second video probably right after this one with our supplementary books and stuff that we're using this year. Okay, so moving on to I guess we can start with science. We are using master books for science. I've got God's Design, Life for Beginners. That's the first one we are using. He has been enjoying science a lot more than I expected him to. And I think that's because science is more hands-on. You get to do experiments, and he's loving the experiments. And I'm loving them so far. I'm probably loving the experiments from our second science textbook more than this one, but that's not the point. So we have 2. I'm going to hold the 2 together so I can talk about them in conjunction with the other. So we've got Adventures in Creation, level 1, also from master books. And we've got God's Design, Life for Beginners, also from master books. We're using both books for science. I do not expect us to finish both books in a year. My goal is over the next 2 to 3 years, we'll go through both books because we don't do science every day. We don't even do science every week. We do science when the Spirit calls us to do science as a subject, because we do science just in our normal life and reading. But in terms of sit down learning about science, we might do it every other week. Right now our focus is mainly on math and English core subjects. So the Life for Beginners, I find I really like this one. but I find it's a little advanced for him in that. So here's the perfect pages I just flipped to, talking about plant and animal cells. So we have like your cytoplasm and membranes and all this, nucleus, and yeah, it's a little bit advanced for him. He's 4, as I said. But you know what? I don't mind doing it because I don't, as I said earlier, I don't expect him to memorize and retain science in this way. For now, it's just the base. I'm just getting information in there, and whatever sticks. There's no pressure right now. And he loves, this book has crosswords. He loves doing the crosswords. He has so much fun doing that. So that's what I find about this book. It doesn't have as many experiments and stuff like that as the second book does. Like, here's your supply list for the entire text. That's the supply list of what you need. And when you guys see the stuff for Adventures in Science, you'll see that there is a huge difference in terms of just how much you do. But what that also means is there's a lot more parent involvement for Adventures in Creation than there is for Life for Beginners. I believe Life for Beginners, there's a lot less one-on-one attention and teaching required. Let's look at our Adventures in Creation. And this book he thoroughly enjoys. I mean, there is 4 pages of supplies. We've got 1, 2. This is really hard. This is why I don't want binders anymore. They're so heavy. We've got 1, 2, and I'm trying to flip 3, 4 of supplies for your experiments. So that is just how hands-on this is. That's how much fun and exploring you'll be doing with your child in this text. Is there's just a lot more. We are, it's funny that I said that, we're only in week 2. Yeah, about 16 pages that we've done so far in this book, and we've done 2 experiments. Our first one was, I believe, dropping a rock in a cup of water, and he had to learn hypothesis, so that he now knows, and that really resonated with him. So now he knows what hypothesis is. So he had to make a hypothesis of what he thinks is going to happen when you drop a rock in a cup of water. His hypothesis was that it would float. Us as adults know better, but that's okay. That's why he's learning. So he had his guess, and we went downstairs, we went outside, we grabbed a rock, we grabbed a cup of water, threw the rock in the cup of water, and it sank. Boom, done. Quick experiment. My kind of experiment, okay? Because I am not a huge science girl. So because of that, I'm dreading having to do elaborate experiments. I'm hoping by then they're more, he does them and I just supervise. And another experiment we did was going in a dark room and turn on a flashlight. And he had to get an hypothesis of how quickly do you think the room would fill up with light or something like that. And he said it would take a long time. We all, as adults, again, know better because we know the speed of light is like that. So we went in a closet because we didn't have any dark rooms because there's windows everywhere. So went in the closet, we closed the door, and I had my phone. I didn't have an actual flashlight. I had my phone, and I used the flashlight on my phone, and that was our experiment. He loved that, and I truly just enjoyed the way that it brings science into everyday life, making it easy, making it relatable, and making it easy for me as a parent to teach to my child, who's a 4-year-old. Our next subject we are doing is, we'll call it geography/social studies, and we are using master books as well. We're using My Story and The World Around Me. There's 1 and there's a 2. We're using 1. And I'll be honest, he hasn't taken this as well as the other subjects. This is probably his least favorite, and I think it's because the book right now at this stage in it is very wordy, and it's just not resonating with him the same way. We are 3 lessons in to it. We just finished this lesson. We're starting this. We might hit geography this week. I think we will. It's also a gentle approach, but I think for my son, he likes coloring. He gets frustrated when it comes to drawing. He gets very frustrated because he wants it to be exactly how he visualizes it, and you just don't have that skill at the age of 4 unless you're an art genius. I'll tell you guys a joke. January this year, my son said to us that he wants to go to Italy, and we're like, sure, that sounds like a great idea. We didn't know where it came from, but we're like, sure, we can see if we can make that happen this year. Fast forward to a month later, I realized Corona was taking over Italy. And I had to tell him, I am sorry, I don't think Italy is going to happen this year. He said, maybe next year, but it's definitely not happening this year. Fast forward to 6 months later, Italy's probably also not happening next year. So I feel really bad that he got this like divine need in his mind to go to Italy out of all places, and he can't go. And he always reminds us that he wants to go to Italy. I'm like, I know, when Corona is long gone, we will go back to Italy, I promise. I say go back because his father and I had been to Italy when we were dating. We went to Italy, but he wasn't around yet. So I think maybe that's why he wants to go now, because he's heard us talk about it. I'm not sure why Italy specifically, but anyways, that's what he wants to do. So that general, I guess I'll show you guys two more textbooks that we are using. We are using 52 Weekly Stories About Canada. It's for my Canadians out there. This is how we are bringing Canadian studies into our work, because I find a lot of the curriculum online is American based, and we're not in America. So I don't want to spend time or money teaching stuff that's not related to us. For example, the book My Story does have some chapters that are focused on the US, and we'll probably just skip those chapters, or we'll just kind of do them at a surface level. I'm not going to focus on him learning the states, because you'll learn that as life goes on. We're not going to focus on that. Learn Canadian provinces first. So with that goal in mind, I got this book, 52 Weekly Stories About Canada. It's very simple, very basic, but honestly, it covers all your child needs to know about Canada, and I love that. We started off with basic things like, here's a map of Canada, learning those. And right now he has memorized all the oceans around us. He knows where they're located. He's got not all the provinces down, but he's got most of them down. He knows the flag. He knows all the coins. We did a page on coin, and I love it because it's literally just, generally it's a page of knowledge and then a page of questions. That's generally how each lesson works. It's a page of knowledge, a page of questions. And that's really what the book is all about. For example, we skipped to June because I also realized that it does each month in Canada, and we discovered that late. So we got June covered, and we will also do July and continue that way through the end of the year. And then we'll go back and do the other weeks that we missed in between. But that's generally how I plan on covering this. This is for grades 1 to 2. And it's a very simple, easy curriculum way to get the Canadian stuff over. I tried buying and downloading stuff off Teachers Pay Teachers, but they cost way more than this book when I put all of them together. And I did buy a few, and I just didn't find them as direct as I needed them to be. They had way too much extra stuff that I was like, we ain't focused on this. This is very direct. It gets the actual knowledge and information out to the child as they need it without too much fluff. And that's what I love about this book. Very quick. We'll probably only do one page. Honestly, as it says weekly, we do like one page a week, one page every 2 weeks. It really depends on what kind of a day we're having. And then last but not least for curriculum is our Bible. So we do Preschool Exploring God's Love. I bought this when we first decided to try homeschool out, and my goal was that we'd get to do this during that trial year. We did not get through it. We got through, I think, the first 3 lessons, and that's where we stopped. And there's still all of that to go. I want us to do this year and focus a little bit more on learning information in here. The reason why we didn't focus on it is because we had a pre-K curriculum that was really Bible heavy. So it had weekly memory verses that they had to memorize and things like that. So I didn't really feel a need to do that as well. But now that we don't have that curriculum anymore, I am trying to work a little bit more intentionally to pull Bible learning into our day. We read the Bible every morning before we start our homeschool, but it's more, I think, getting him to get a little bit more practical with it, because the reading, it does have practical elements, but we don't necessarily do the practical elements because it's the first thing we do. It's like our morning basket time. So I try not to have us do like, go cut this out and pace this here, because that time is for us to just sit down and read together. He reads to me, I read to him. So we don't really do practical work at that time. So I want to try to involve practical Bible work into our homeschool day as well. With all that being said, that was much longer than I wanted it to be. But that is what we are using this year. That is how we are starting our grade 1 year of homeschool for my son. I am looking forward to what the other side of this looks like. We are year-round homeschoolers, and what that really means for us is we take breaks when we want to. We take breaks to go on vacation. We take breaks to just because we feel like it, especially on summer days like this where it is way too hot to be outside. We learn inside. Rather than him just sitting down and watching TV all day long or something like that. We learn, and our routine is very simple. I think I've shared our routine in another video, but if I haven't, if you guys want to know how our days generally go, let me know. Give me a thumbs up, comment below, and I will gladly do a video letting you guys know how our day goes homeschooling one child. I think I'm the only person on YouTube that I've seen that's homeschooling one child. I know I've seen one other lady, and I can't remember her name right now, but she does cleaning channel stuff mostly. But I know on here most families have multiple kids they are homeschooling, but I am a mama of one at this time, and I am homeschooling my child. This is how I do it. So please make sure you follow me along on my journey, and I will share with you how we get this done. And yes, we still socialize him. I just have to put that out there because I know people are like, well, how does he meet people? He has no siblings, he doesn't go to school. We still socialize him. Anyways, with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. And again, my name is Wemi. I appreciate you spending your time with me, listen to me chit chat, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.